Welcome to the Terror Dome.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are tuned into Black Westchester Presents, the People Before Politics radio show. We're on every Sunday, 6 to 8, streaming live to you on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Got a good show for you today. We're going to hear from Westchester County District Attorney Mimi Rocha. She will be talking about gun control, gun violence. And then we have Congressman Mondaire Jones. We will be talking. This will be our first interview with Congressman Mondaire Jones since he was elected. He's been on the show a few times before, so we're going to get an update what he's been up to, any messages that he has for the community. Before we get started, though, I want to officially, I went live on Instagram and on Facebook, but allow me to do it here as well. I want to thank everyone for the overwhelming showering of love, condolences, prayers, and everything else after the loss of my father. I greatly appreciate all of y'all. Facebook posts, messenger, text messages, phone calls, emails. I wanted to possibly go through and thank you all individually, but I just couldn't. So allow me to do it collectively here on the show. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the love. It means a lot during this time, especially during this time right after you lose a parent, and losing two parents in 7 years is kind of rough. So, bear with me. I'm, going to take a couple of days off, but the show must go on. Shout out to my dude, Dr. Bob held it down, his first solo show ever. I came in a little bit at the end. Damon got held up doing some stuff with his granddaughter's birthday party. Lorraine had a She couldn't make it because her sister, she had to take her sister to the hospital. Sister broke her ankle. So Bob actually ran and held down the show by himself and did an incredible job. And I definitely, that was his first solo show, like by himself, no help, running the show, doing everything. And he definitely came through and held us down. So shout out to Dr. Bob. Shout out, shout out, shout out. Mimi's probably coming in around 6:30. Damon K. Jones may be joining us some point in the show. I know Dr. Bob is working on some research, so he might not be here. So right now it's going to be me holding it down. If anybody that's watching has any questions or comments, this will be these first 20 something minutes will be definitely the time to get it in. Because I can hit all that before we get the guests coming in. What else? Shout to Stephanie Spanos. Maybe a first time viewer. I'm not familiar with that name. Shout to Sandy Barnaby. Shout to anybody else who's watching on any of the various channels. Like I said, we're on LinkedIn, the Black Westchester LinkedIn page. We're on YouTube, the Black Westchester YouTube page. We're on Facebook on my page, which is at AJROK on Facebook, and it has been shared to all the Black Westchester pages on Facebook. So you can find us there. Let's see what's going on. I took a little. That was off last week, so we had a shooting. Not last night, the night before, in Mount Vernon. I don't know all the details, but the elected officials, Jamal Bowman, Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, State Senator Biaggi, Mayor Sean Patterson Howard, some of the city council persons, a collective of elected officials did a joint statement. You can find that on blackwestchester.com. And all I really want to say is we have to, we only have these conversations after someone is shot at or killed, but we have to deal with the pandemic of senseless gun violence in our community. And yes, I said pandemic. It's a pandemic. It's an epidemic. It's been plaguing our community well before there was a COVID. We're killing each other. We have got to get a handle. It's probably easier for a young person to get a gun than a job right now, which is sad. So we have to address the problem. We have to address not just the symptom after the fact, but we have to address the problems that caused the situation, the lack of services, and all of those things. We have to address them as a community. We complain about criminal justice reform and cops, smacking people upside the head and all of that kind of stuff. But we killing each other in the streets, that just brings more of them cops to do more, thinking that that's how they have to handle it. You know what I'm saying? We need to get a handle on this ourselves. We have to put an end to the senseless gun violence. It is killing our community, not just Mount Vernon, but Black and brown communities all over the country. That we just had a shooting the other day. You can read about that on Black Westchester. Cynthia Turnquest Jones, shout out to her. She did a stories on Black Westchester about books and badges. They working with the police department at Cupcake Cutie. They had a book giveaway for the youth. I think that is very important. Literacy, childhood literacy is one of the ways to combat some of these problems that we're facing. We have children who cannot read. And, we have to address these problems. And if you're a child and you are having a problem and you're going on to get along and you don't want people to know, you need to reach out to somebody so there's people that can help you. But we have a lot of that in the community. So that was a good story, a good feel good story. What else has been going on? Before I left to go to Georgia to bury my dad, there was a Mount Vernon, a Save and Transform Mount Vernon hospital rally in front of the hospital, spearheaded by the Poor People's Campaign, the Hudson Valley chapter. Was hosted by Jeff Monroe. Shout out to Jeff Monroe. He asked me to speak. You know, usually I'm on the other side of the camera, but I got up and said a couple of words. And several people in the community, no elected officials were allowed to speak, which is a good thing because it's not political. Um, just the community and the community leaders, and it was pretty good. That went down just before I left to go to Georgia. What else happened? Oh, we had the the movie The Killing of Kenneth Chamberlain last weekend. I understand White Plains. It was a big showing. A lot of y'all heard the call and came out in large numbers. I had already seen the movie. I wasn't going to be here, but I sponsored, about 5 or 6 people, just to fill them theaters. You know what I'm saying? And you can still watch it on video on demand if you don't want to go to the theaters. It's on every cable format. Just go to your video on demand. You'll find it. It's a must see movie, but it was only showing in one place in New York, and that was White Plains, where Mr. Chamberlain was killed by the White Plains Police Department. Definitely a powerful movie. If it's still running, I implore everyone who can go out, and still support the movie in the theaters. But if you don't want to go to the theaters, get it on demand, buy it online, buy a digital copy online, whatever. It's available on all formats. Shout out to Tony Old School Mitchell. What's up, my dude? Shout out to Wade Hardy. Everybody else that's tuning in. Like I said, excuse me. I'm still a little. I'm not 100%, but the show must go on. I'm still reeling off losing my dad, so I don't want to bring the temperature down, but too much. But shout out to my dad. That was my dude. I really, 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 really gonna miss him. Hey, Wade, what's going on? Anybody got questions, comments, anything that you knew that went on in the community in the last week or so since I've been on that you want me to quickly speak on? Definitely put it in the comment section, and we'll address it before our guests get here. This is episode 317 of the People Before Politics radio show. If you're just tuning in, just celebrated our 7-year anniversary. Shout out to Westchester County Legislator Christopher Johnson, appointed, I think it was September 10th, Black Westchester Day, and had it running on the Jumbotron over at the county center. Beautiful thing, in a celebration of our 7-year anniversary. Got a lot more in store. Since we just randomly talking about topics, so for your football heads, at last I seen the Jets was losing, and the Giants, the New York Football Giants, found another way to lose. They are 0-3. The last 2 games was definitely winnable. I didn't see the first game. They lost by a field goal last week. I mean, they lost by a point last week. They lost by a field goal today. We got teams scoring touchdowns, and we just keep kicking field goals. Like, they started off, they scored twice, kept Atlanta from scoring, but they scored 2 field goals. It was 6-0. So Atlanta scored their first touchdown at 7. We down 1 already. You know what I'm saying? We came back. Then it was, I think they scored again. No, we scored again, got the 2-point conversion, made it 14. Atlanta scored another touchdown. We couldn't do nothing else. Couldn't even kick another field goal. Atlanta kicked the field goal. So instead of being 21, you know what I'm saying? We found another way to lose today. The New York, the NFL least, that's what they call it in the division. I think Washington lost. I don't know what Dallas did yet, but yo, they got to do something with the front office. They got to do something. They got to do something. What they doing now ain't working. We got to do something. Craig McFarland said, condolences to your family, your church family, colleagues, friends, neighbors, community networks, and networks worldwide. It is with sincere sorrow and sympathy that we are made aware of your loss. We will keep you in our prayers. Bring your family greetings from all at Free Will Baptist Church, 80 Front Street, Binghamton, New York, and celebrating your anniversary. Yo, thank you. Welcome to the show. Tune in to the show, Craig McFarland from Binghamton. Yo, that's what's up. I'm not sure if this is your first time tuning in, but welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Definitely appreciate you. And Wade, yes, you did the emoji hand on the head. Like, yeah, that's what I was doing when I was watching the game. I was like, yo, how are they going to lose today? So. I know, so everybody's checking out for the shirt. So I know everybody's like, oh, NWA, what's that? And they see the words. This word here, let me see at the beginning, NEGUHS is not NIGGA. It's actually Ethiopian Semitic. It actually means terrain, loosely translated to king or emperor in biblical and other literature. So that's what I got on. The world's most dangerous group, and they got a picture of, you can't see, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, and Nelson Mandela. So the world's most dangerous crew. So I know now I'm not celebrating Eazy-E and all of them. Not that NWA. This is the guys with aptitude. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Ethiopian. I love this shirt. So, I figured I'd pull it out. I haven't worn it in a while. I figured I'd pull it out for the show. So I don't want to get no messages like, oh, he was wearing NWA on his shirt. This ain't the F the police dudes. This is something different. Anybody else want to got a shout out? You got an event coming up you want me to announce? You got something you want me to speak on in these next 10, 15 minutes before our first guest come? Guess I'm holding it down by myself. Damon may be here later. Bob won't be here, and I doubt Lorraine's tuning in today. So I'm holding it down. The show must go on. So that's what it is. I'm just randomly just talking about a bunch of different topics right now until our guests appear. I had invited a few other people to talk about the shooting in Mount Vernon. Jesse Van Loo from Save Mount Vernon, but I don't think he was able to make it at last minute. There's a new spot I found too. They don't have these people on the show. I don't know if y'all know, on the Ave in Mount Vernon, there's a joint called Revival X, yo. They fix all sneakers, no matter what condition they are, to almost brand new. All your classic joints that you ain't been able to wear for a minute, or you just got something and, it just need to be repaired. Yo, it's Revival X. Look them up. We're going to have them on a show, I believe, in the next couple of weeks. I'm actually going to try to get down there one day this week to check out their operation, but I'm loving everything I heard about them so far. And they're definitely Black-owned business. They doing great work, so we need to support them in big numbers. Revival X. on the Ave between First and Second, closer to First Street. I think across the street from VIM or somewhere in that area, but they're on the other side of the street. They're somewhere down where around where VIM is. Revival X, dope spot, black owned, sneaker repair, restoration joint, hot joint. Definitely a different kind of business. I never heard of a place like that before. So I'm definitely excited to go down there and check them out. And like I said, have them on the show soon. Again, I just really want to. That's what's up for our sneakerhead. Yes, yes, yes. It's a lot of sneakerheads out here. We got some old joints. You know what I'm saying? And I seen them like before and after, and they what did Wade say? What to do if stopped by the police? Talk in white. Okay, let me put that on the screen. There will be a what to do if stopped by the police conversation in White Plains Wednesday at 7 p.m. is open to the public at the Sonesta. I hope I pronounced that right. Sonnesta, formerly Crown Plaza. Talk is going to be given by active and retired law enforcement, hosted by the Westchester Rockland Guardians and the Yonkers Guardians. Yeah, I got to see if I can make that. That's everybody. Is there a number? Is there a flyer? Is there a website, Wade, that you can share for if people want more information? Please give me that so I can put it up. Michelle Brown, what's going on? Sneaker repair, I'm in. Yo, Michelle, I talked to them people. Yo, I'm loving what I heard, and I love the video that I seen. I wish I had it up because I could show y'all the video, but I'm definitely gonna go check them out in person. But yeah, what to do? So yeah, this is a conversation we've been having for a long time, and unfortunately, we're gonna have to keep having it. Damon and the Blacks in Law Enforcement of America used to do this. What to do is stop by the police, and they've changed it. They go talk to a lot of kids, a lot of young men in this how to survive a police confrontation. So I will say this, which is very important to know. I'm talking to a lot of my law enforcement friends, especially on a car stop. A police officer does not know what they're walking up on in the first 30 seconds or so. Could have been a bank robber. You could be wanted for something, all that. So the best thing you could do is when they come, have your hands already. I think that's 10 and 2 on the wheel. Maybe turn on your dome light inside so it's lit, you can see, and just communicate what you want to do. Let them know that you're not, a threat or any kind. Now, you're still going to get some asshole cops that's going to, talk to you any kind of way, but that usually eases them a little bit. Oh, here's the link for Wade for the event. That's the link. I'll pull it up and share it on Black Westchester. When I post this on the website, I'll make sure I share that. I share that under it, but that is the link for anybody who wants any information about the what to do if stopped by police conversation in White Plains. Again, that's Wednesday, 7 p.m. It's open to the public. It's at Sonesta, formerly Crown Plaza, and the talk is given by active and retired law enforcement from the Westchester Rockland Guardians and the Yonkers Guardians. So, yeah, Wade, thank you for sharing that. We need to know that. We need to come out and see that. We need to interact. We need more officers like the Guardians coming, helping work on better police community relations. Because right now we're both sides are judging the many by the few. And what I mean by that, so yeah, we do have in every one of our neighborhoods, we do have some people that need to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? Some people that are doing the things that they say they're doing, but that's a very small percentage. But because those are the ones that the cops see all the time, and a lot of us who's in the house, they don't see that. When they see a black man, they judge the many by the few. They judge all of us by those few. And there are and it's documented some asshole cops that just come through to abuse their power. But that is not all cops, though. But unfortunately, for those who abuse their power, and especially in the black and brown communities, those are the ones we see all the time. And it's easy for the community to judge the many by the few. You know what I'm saying? So it's there's a lot of good cops out there. There are, and we need to stop judging the many by the few. Those who abuse their power, they gotta go. We need to speak truth to power. We need to get them out of there. We need to put pressure, but we don't need to judge all police like all police are that way because they're not. And the police need to stop looking at every black, especially black males. You know, many people that I know, they handle their business, they take care of their kids, they raise their, they doing what they got to do for their families, they got jobs, they work, you know, and all of us just they look at all of us. I mean, yo, on any given day, I could be in the street with jeans, a t-shirt, a hoodie, baseball cap. Yo, I fit the description of whatever that means. I got pulled. I got stopped one time. The cops ran up on me, was giving me a hard way to go, almost arrested me. This is years ago. I was a little lighter than I am, but I'm still, you know, a heavy set brother. When they found that they got a call that they got the person who they were looking for. When the picture came out of the person, this person was 6'4". Anybody knows me definitely knows that doesn't fit my description, and he was skinny. So I don't know how I fit the description. I was just a black person with jeans and a hoodie on that day, and I got, you know, luckily that call came through before it escalated to a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we gotta do better on both sides. That's what I'm saying. Yes, Michelle, the bad ones gotta go. There are bad ones that are just, you know, they don't know our community. They shouldn't be policing our community. I mean, if in a situation, if you're a police officer, and I say this, yo, with all respect, if you're a police officer and it takes 10 of y'all and 5 of y'all to take somebody down with all kinds of abuse and you got to pull out all kinds of tasers and all that kind of stuff, you might want to look for another profession that may not be for you. Word up. And everybody listening to me, no matter what job you have, you know there's some people at your job that don't need to be on that job, that they don't care. Everybody has that. But when you have a badge and a gun and a license to kill, we can't afford. Like police are the only profession. I seen a comedian say it. I forgot what comedian. The only profession where it's just a few bad apples. You know, what if American Airlines came out today? Oh, we just got a few pilots that like to crash in the mountains and shit. But you know, most of our pilots are good. Yeah, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing when they got lives in their hands. You know what I'm saying? And I would like to see when I hear that bad apples thing, it makes you want to add Chris Rock. Okay, thank you, Sandy. It was Chris Rock. I like to see, where's the good apples? Like everybody always says, just a few bad apples. So where's the good apples that speak up against the bad apples? Where they at? We don't see that in the community, so we don't think they exist. Where are the good apples? I'm tired of hearing it's just a few bad apples. Where's the good apples? Show me the good apples. You know what I'm saying? And don't most police departments have a duty to intervene? If you see your coworker abusing their authority, beating up on somebody who was already apprehended and handcuffed and subdued and beating on them, don't you have a duty to intervene? Can we talk about ending police qualified immunity tonight? We can. I'm gonna have I don't know, Sandy, I don't know if you heard. So in a few minutes, Mimi Rocha, Westchester District Attorney Mimi Rocha is coming on, and she's going to be talking a lot about gun violence. And you know, I'm sure there's some stuff she may or may not be able to speak on. And then she'll be on from 6:30 to 7 about, and at 7 we'll have my dear Jones on from 7 to 7:30. So, you know, if you remind me after that, and we have a few more minutes, we can definitely I definitely will ask her what her thoughts are on ending police qualified immunity. Angela Davis Farris, how are you doing? And I think I saw a few other people. Nicole Benjamin, what's going on? Stephanie Swan, what's going on? Everybody else, I can only see the ones that's on my page. I shared it on several pages, so if you're on another page, I might not see your name. But I appreciate you for tuning in. Like I said, we have Westchester District Attorney Mimi Roker. I sent her the story last night about the 20-year-old woman who got shot in Mount Vernon. Today is Sunday, I think Friday night, well, actually Saturday morning, around 3:40 in the morning or something like that. And I sent her the statement of the elected officials and stuff, and she said her response to me was, "Thanks for sharing, and I could come on the show and talk about gun violence." And we made it happen. So she should be here any minute. Can we ask her that? Yes. And yes, Michelle wants to know what her thoughts on bail reform. I will definitely get into as much of that as I can. Um, yeah, we will definitely get into as much of that as I can. Anything else anybody want to ask me real quick? Or want me to shout out an event like Waves event on Wednesday? Anybody got any events coming up this week they need me to shout out and shed some light on? Let me know in the comment section if there's something that you want me to attempt to speak on real quick. Definitely. Okay, I think Mimi Roka should be signing in any minute since she just shared this video onto her page, as that's what the notification was. So I'm assuming we will see her any second now. Shout out to James Cook. And I want to say this one more time. Sorry to bring this home. I want to thank everybody for the overwhelming showering of support after my father's passing. And I want to shout out all my Atlanta people. They held me down. First and foremost, my partner in rhyme, William B. Love Taylor from my group JVC Force, hung out with me a lot. My ex-wife, Rajendra Hunter, she held it down for a minute. Shout out to my dude out there, Reginald McKee. He came through. Yes, that's her texting me now. Yes. Mimi Roka will be here shortly. And everybody else who held me down, especially in Georgia, everybody who came and saw me afterwards. Yes, Craig McFarland, I did celebrate National Daughters Day yesterday. If you go to my page, you will see a picture of me and my beautiful daughter, Paula Sherelle Woodson, who is me 3.0. Very proud of her. Pictures like from 2018 at our birthday. Took out for her birthday when I was out there in Georgia. So there's a picture on my Facebook page. If you go to my Facebook page, scroll down, you'll see a picture of me and my beautiful daughter. Yes, I did celebrate National Daughters Day. So let me just say happy National Daughters Day to my daughter. Yeah. So who did a gun buyback program at Bethesda in New Rochelle? Angela, who did that? Tell me. I don't know who you were talking about. And welcoming to the show, Westchester County District Attorney Mimi Roka. As I was telling everyone, I shared the story of the shooting that we had in Mount Vernon, and you texted me back and said I can definitely come on and talk about gun violence. So we welcome you to come on anytime you want to come on. We know I've already prepped my audience. There's probably questions they want to ask you that you cannot answer about other things. That's not going to stop them from asking you, but I did prep them. And Angela Ferris is telling me that you did a gun buyback program at Bethesda Baptist Church on Lincoln Avenue in New Rochelle. I think we need more of those. And I'm glad to hear I missed that. I'm glad to hear that you were involved in that. How long ago was that?
That was just about a week ago.
Okay.
And, yeah. And that was done in partnership with the Attorney General's office. They kind of organized that one, and we are obviously definitely looking to do more, including one in Mount Vernon.
Yes, we definitely need our leaders to do more of this, not just you. And I'm putting a call out to our community leaders, our elected officials. We need to do way more of these because right now, as I said in my open, one of the things I talked about, people are telling me it is easier for people to get a gun than a job right now on the streets, especially in the streets of Mount Vernon, but they saying in Westchester. That's not a good statistic. That's not something to be proud of. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, AJ, first of all, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here with you guys, and it's been too long, so I'm looking forward to being on more because, I really do want to be accessible. I don't have all the answers for how to fix this, but I'm trying, and I really welcome community input and suggestions and questions, even if I can't answer all of them, but I'll try. I really try to be transparent where I'm allowed to be. I'm not obviously talking about ongoing investigations. And I do just want to start out by saying, my heart breaks for this young woman and her family. I think that, part of what motivated me to run for Westchester DA was my involvement in the horrible killing of Shemoya McKenzie in 2016. I was a federal prosecutor then. I literally last week was at Dave Hardy's sentencing. I wanted to be there. My office, my current office, was very much involved. They actually were the ones but back then it wasn't me. The Westchester DA's office had arrested Dave Hardy. People from my office, current office, had prosecuted him, and then they started working with the feds where I was then, and were able to build a bigger case against a whole bunch of people. And I've really gotten close with Nadine McKenzie, Shemoya's mom, and have tried to do a lot in Shemoya's honor. So to go to that sentencing, which was a heart-wrenching, long time, somewhat of closure, to then have this happen this weekend, there's no words for it. And I have a great team at the DA's office. It's not just me. I mean, it's my Deputy Chief Inspector Wade Hardy, who is tirelessly working to try to find ways to better serve our communities, and in particular communities of color. Lila Curtin, and many other people, and it's really a team effort. And as we speak, our prosecutors are working round the clock with Mount Vernon PD and FBI on trying to solve the current shooting. I can't say any more about it than that, but I want people to know, that literally they have been working round the clocks, as they should, since this happened. And there's nothing more important right now, other than obviously, hoping beyond hope for an outcome here, that we find the people who did it.
Now you said that you were at the sentencing. I'm just getting back to town. Could you share what he was sentenced to, or?
Yeah, no, that's public. I mean, he was sentenced by a federal judge. It was a federal case. Eventually became a federal case, and the judge sentenced him to it works out to 31 years approximately. It's obviously a long sentence. The government was the prosecutors were asking for more than that. The defense was asking for less than that. The judge came out. It was a below guideline sentence. The federal system, there's sort of a guideline range, and the judge went below that. But it was there was a lot of talk there about some of the same issues we're talking about now. Like, how did Dave Hardy, start out playing basketball and being a kid on the basketball team to ending up being someone who shot a gun so recklessly in broad daylight in Mount Vernon that Shamoya was murdered. And I think that's kind of what it all comes back to, is how do we stop that cycle from happening?
We had a panel. I forgot, it was after a shooting that we had on 7th Avenue in broad daylight. A young man, high school age, was visiting his friend and got killed and died out on the doorstep. The mother of the friend opens the door to see her son's friend dying on the doorstep, and we had Henry Terry and Snug had a call to action, and Patty Combs and a bunch of people put together a forum at Mount Calvary in Mount Vernon, and they let some of the young people speak. And some of the adults was telling young people, if you see something, say something. And the young people was like, yo, if we could be frank, y'all can't do nothing with them. Y'all are the ones that are telling us to stay away from these type of people. Like, we're scared of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to say anything. We're scared of them. We're trying to stay away from them. And another person pulled me to the side. He didn't say this. And he admitted that he had a gun. And he said he doesn't want to have a gun, but everyone else has one, and he doesn't want to get caught without one. And this is a 16-year-old. Yeah. And I was like, you can't help but be moved. Like the kid, from everything I can tell, is a good kid. And he doesn't want to carry a gun, but because he walks home and he got to walk through these certain blocks where everybody's getting killed, he doesn't want to be the only one without one. And that's and we have to deal with we have to deal with the problems that cause some of this stuff. Like, there are things that lead up to this. No programs and lack of things to do and no trade. People don't come out of high school college ready, but they're not taught trades so they can get a career. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
we do some of these things. There's a lot of things we need to do that can solve these problems. But I want to applaud you for a gun buyback program. I cannot speak intelligently and say your predecessor did not do that, but I'm not hearing district attorneys talk about gun buyback programs. Usually it's about locking people up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We need to do more of them, and we've already started talking about, that one was done with the Attorney General's office. We're trying to figure out if we can do one on our own using asset forfeiture money that we would do in Mount Vernon. And also, I think I'm trying to approach this from my office, and obviously, it's not just the DA's office that needs to work on this. This has got to be a team approach of all the stakeholders. But I try to use, what the resources of my office in two ways. One is on the law enforcement side, which is prosecuting the most violent offenders. There's all sorts of fancy names for it. Precision prosecution is one of them. But it basically is common sense. We don't want over policing, over prosecution in general. That leads to real racial disparities. What we want is to, which we're trying to eliminate in many ways, and we're working on that, but we want to prosecute vigorously the most violent cases. And so we put together a initiative of Mount Vernon Police, New Rochelle Police, Yonkers Police, FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the federal prosecutors, and my office. And we announced that it was over the summer. And we did that actually. One thing I want to say about numbers, one shooting, one murder is too much. So I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. But I do want to say that sometimes, I think we hear the headlines and we hear even about one, and it just feels, wow, it's out of control. It's bad. And we got to get the numbers down even more. But actually in Westchester as a whole, and including in Mount Vernon, the numbers we have not seen the spike in shootings that other parts of our state have seen. I mean, in Rochester, in North Albany, and in the city, the shootings are up much, much more dramatically. So again, I'm not trying to minimize what we're dealing with, but I think it helps people. And that's why I'm trying to turn to a more statistic-based approach to things, because I want to work off where are the shootings and who is it, because that's what we got to target. And so this initiative we put together is really focused on making sure that law enforcement is better at sharing information across borders. And by that I mean across towns and cities. Our police, in Westchester are doing an excellent job really trying to deal with the violence that is out there. And this promotes even better cooperation across the police departments, across the prosecutors, state and local and federal law enforcement, better information sharing. And again, I can't get into it here, but we're already making a lot more progress than we would have without that initiative in terms of identifying people that need to be pursued. So that's the sort of one of the law enforcement parts of it, but we also need to do the prevention part of it. And that's really where we partner with community-based programs that we not only don't initiate, but shouldn't, because nobody wants to come to a community-based program that the DA's office is working on, right? Like they don't look to go walk in a room where there's prosecutors, but we want to offer our support. And we want to help develop them as much as possible. And so we've already done some of that, but we are constantly looking for new ways to do that. And I mean, when I tell you, not just this weekend, but including this weekend, there have been a lot of discussions amongst us of, okay, what else can we do? Something I talked about during the campaign was something that in Oakland, California, where they took this very holistic, multidisciplinary approach to gun violence. They had a even worse gun violence program, and they were able to get it down in a number of years quite dramatically because they took this approach of, the prosecutors, the police, the mayors, the mental health, the social services, probation, and coming together. And so that's something that, we've kind of been doing, and I would love to do even more affirmatively and dramatically, bring all those parties together to say, all right, what's everyone already doing? Because it's got to be done in every different area.
Right.
And what else can we do? And how can we support each other? And making the contacts of the people who can just pick up the phone and call each other, one-on-one, because I cut through the bureaucracy, because that's what we need to do. We're also working to partner a lot more with schools. Again, not just in Mount Vernon, we've been doing it across the county, but I would like to do it more in Mount Vernon as well. We've offered what's called Red Flag or ERPO training to all the school superintendents. We just did that last week. There were superintendents were invited from across the county. That's not exactly the issue we're talking about here with street violence, but it contributes to it, right? Because it's about making sure that even someone who has a gun, that it doesn't get used in ways, obviously, that could harm someone, and that the warning signs are seen, and that people in authority, whether it be a school or police, can intervene before something happens. We're really trying to decrease suicides among young people, which is just a problem everywhere. Safe storage of guns. So we're trying to partner much more with schools and use them as a network too, to young people. I know that doesn't get to everyone, but it should help.
I like the way that sounds, and I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but I also like to see if you can incorporate, some of the credible messengers that are out there in the community that do the work, that they go when they have these shootings, they're the ones that go out there. You know what I'm saying? They're the ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they have their boots on the ground in those communities. I think that would be great.
Yeah, look, I have huge respect for SNUG and Henry Terry and the work that they do. They want to keep, as they should, distant from us, from law enforcement, because they are the credible messengers. So in a lot of ways, I think the DA's office, other than obviously doing the prosecutions we need to do, we can support more behind the scenes, helping with organizing, bringing resources together. I don't think anyone thinks that we should be the ones out there trying to talk to people in violence prevention. I get that. We're definitely not the credible messengers there. We are working on things like expanding diversion programs, right? So, when we talk about the young man that you spoke about with the gun, who, I'll assume for purposes of this discussion, he's carrying around, but he hasn't used it, at least in a violent way yet. We don't want people who commit non-violent, low-level offenses to get thrown into the system, at least initially, right? Like, everybody should get a second chance. And, once you're in the criminal justice system, in a courtroom with a criminal record, it kind of spirals from there. And so we're really looking to expand diversion programs. And we're going to be actually rolling something out this week that I'm really excited about in that respect. So we can come back and talk about that. It'll start as a pilot program, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be expanded across the county. We're working on partnering more. In Mount Vernon, we did with the Mount Vernon Emerging Adult Justice part. Again, just trying to recognize that young people who carry guns or commit crimes, especially, nonviolent offenses, it's better to not treat them the way we frankly treated them historically. We got to get them out of the system. That's the best chance of preventing them from becoming the next Dave Hardy,
Let me ask you a question, and I don't know if you can answer, but it is one of the two questions that I have from the audience. I understand as far as bail reform, you don't make the laws, you enforce the laws. I believe that, bail reform was necessary, but I believe that the reform may need to be reformed. Because there have been people slipping through the cracks and coming right back out on the street. And, I don't know if you can speak to that at all or speak.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can speak to that in this way, that since I took office, 9 months ago, it is something that, it's kind of a joke amongst my people in my office. I'm constantly asking for numbers. Like, what are the numbers? Who's getting back out? Are the people committing crimes people who otherwise, back before bail reform wouldn't have been, out without bail, right? So really trying to drill down on, again, not just kind of what it feels like, but what's actually happening, and really talking to our partners in law enforcement who, are the ones on the ground seeing it every day, and our people out in our local courts, like in Mount Vernon, we have great prosecutors out there. I constantly am asking them what they're seeing in terms of how bail reform is playing out, because my role, what I can do is take that information, come up with suggestions for not just, hey, we think it needs to be fixed, but here's what specifically, I want to be as specific as possible, right? If you just say we got to fix bail reform, the people who drafted it and it was a huge accomplishment in many ways and something absolutely needed, but they're going to say, like, well, what, right? You can't just throw it out there. You got to be as specific and constructive as possible. So that's what I have been working on, coming up with, and have been reaching out to the legislators to try and talk to them about that and see, while they're not in session, what appetite there is for making some small precision kind of changes in the bail reform that I think could go a long way to helping keep us safe.
I think that's very important, because I'm often preaching on this show. We have to be careful and specific what we ask for.
Yeah.
At 9/11, we asked for the government to do whatever they can, and we got the Patriot Act 1 and 2. You know what I'm saying? And people and the crack era, we asked for the government to do something, and we got, the laws that led to the mass incarceration of Black people. We asked for bail reform, but we didn't say what. And they did give us bail reform, and now there might need to be a reform of it. The second question, Sandy Barnaby, the Anti-Racism Alliance, she mentions that Colorado, the state of Colorado, ended qualified immunity for police in their state. Can we learn from them and be the second state to do that in this nation? What can you say about the need to end this mechanism of injustice?
So, look, I am going to not answer that one a little bit for this reason. I enforce the criminal laws, and qualified immunity really has to do with civil liability, not criminal liability.
As you can see, I live on that side of town where the bikes come by every night.
Ah, that's what that is. I thought it was like some horn that someone didn't like my answer. Or
no.
Like, hey, what do you mean you're not going to answer?
No, and I have my windows open too, so it's like, so 8, 9, 10 in a row come down my block. So,
I hear it.
Yeah.
What I have, so I'm going to answer it this way about what is within my purview and what I've been doing, again, over the past 9 months. Mm-hmm. I personally, with a whole team of prosecutors, line prosecutors, career prosecutors, law enforcement people in my office, former, police officers themselves, review every excessive force case that comes into our office, and we review it in detail. I mean, we spend hours and hours doing this. I'm not exaggerating. And that's something that's very important to me, and we take it really seriously. We understand, the issues that law enforcement face out there every day, but we also don't want to see any abuse of that authority. And I know that historically, and I'm talking about the country as a whole now, it just hasn't been scrutinized in the way that it should, right? It was, and so I'm trying to change that. It's not a secret that we've charged at least one police officer since I've been there. Obviously not going to talk about the case, but there's always people who will look at that and have criticism for it.
Yeah, you caught a lot of flack for that, and
yeah,
and I called for the community to come out and support you because we haven't had a DA do that in some time. So.
And so look, that's where, and I don't like charging police officers. I mean, I have huge respect for them. I work with them every day, and most of the cases we review, we don't end up bringing charges because there is a justified use of force. But I'm going to scrutinize it really carefully, and we're not going to say that we're not going to charge something just because it's a police officer and they were in a difficult situation. So that's the area more in my purview is sort of what can we do that's different in terms of holding police officers accountable who do break the law in our view, as opposed to qualified immunity.
I want to also leading to it's more of a compliment and a comment. I wanted to applaud you for the opening of the Kenneth Chamberlain Sr. and the Danroy DJ Henry cases. I know that you probably can't speak specifically, but this is my first conversation I'm having with you since you opened them, and we just had the movie come out. What can you speak on that made you even want to take another look at it? Because it definitely wasn't popular among your predecessors, because I've heard you caught some flack for that. So what made you at least want to even go back and take a look into them?
So, and again, I want to be, always really careful because there literally are ethical guidelines about what I'm allowed to talk about and not talk about with pending cases. I will say this, that which I said at the time, that first of all, I felt really lucky to have someone outside of my office, outside of really any law enforcement in Westchester, someone very independent who's brilliant to help us, take a really objective review of everything that transpired. And by everything, I mean, it's not just about looking at the police. I want to also look at, what our office did right and did wrong. We can always learn from that. So there's a lot of different layers to this. And we brought on former federal judge John Gleason, who's donating his time, pro bono. He's a partner in a law firm, has a whole, a team of associates to help. And so, that just gives us additional resources and kind of an even more objective look, I think, at everything. And we just, I know most of all people want transparency and answers. And, I don't think I'll necessarily ever be able to do that in the way that sort of in my heart I'd like to, but I want to provide that as much as possible for everyone.
I just wanted to let you know, we're going to get to our next guest, so I'm going to say goodbye in a second. I'm going to put him on the screen so y'all can at least say hello to each other.
Good. Great.
Welcome, Congressman Mondaire Jones. I'm finishing up with Westchester District Attorney Mimi Roque. I don't know if y'all have met, so I want to put him on the screen to say hi at least.
Who's this guy?
No, Mimi is a dear friend and just an incredible inspiration, and we are so blessed to have her in Westchester. So it's really an honor just to be on the same platform right now with her.
Well, we could have a big love fest here because I could say all the same things about you. It's been amazing watching you out there, and I follow, and I always feel a little weird saying this because who am I to say it? But I'm so proud of you, and you're such a fighter, and it's just wonderful. But you do it with just the right way. So it's great. I don't want to take up your time because I know.
Before you leave, though, I did want to tell you. I don't know if you know, so I got a call from Pace University journalism class, which I will be speaking to.
Oh.
They because of us, they read the story about you reopening the case. This whole semester is on the reopening of those two cases.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and I got them in touch with Kenneth, who I think he spoke to them. I came back from Georgia Thursday. I think he was on Thursday. And Delroy Henry Sr. Will be on soon. And then I will be on after that, talking to the class.
Right. Well, I'm glad they're gonna hear from you because you're very. I mean, I've told you this before privately, but you're very talented, AJ. So.
Well, thank you very much.
I've seen your writing, and it's great. So that's great. The students not only will hear about that, but we'll hear from you.
And is there anything I didn't ask you? Last words? Anything that you want to get out before you go?
Look, I would say what we were talking about at the beginning. I know that one shooting, one murder is too many. I think we want to keep perspective on the numbers and not let it feel worse than it is in terms of how much of an overall problem it's becoming. But we got to do more, all of us, and that includes me. We're doing a lot and we're trying, but there's more we can do. And I think part of it is just finding better, more formal ways to collaborate and bring all the stakeholders together to work at this. Because law enforcement can't do it alone. Social services can't do it alone. Government can't do it alone. It's got to be everyone together. That's the only way to really work on this problem.
Last comment, Angela Farris from New Rochelle said, can some programs begin at the academic level when young people are in school about gun crime prevention? It seems somewhat too late to reach them when they're out and they're young adults. So can we have more programs that start at the academic level? So I just want to throw that out there.
Yes. And it's the answer is yes. And we're already doing some of that. We need to do more. And that's why I mentioned partnering even more with the schools and the superintendents and getting programs, getting people in the schools.
I thank you for your time. We have to do this more often. Of course, half an hour is never enough time because everybody want to ask you something. And I had more, but I'm
happy to come back. Especially if Congressman Jones is on.
Yeah, we'll make that happen. Because
even if he's not.
This is his first time back since he's been elected too. So.
All right. So you guys got to get to it.
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right, bye.
I will be.
Take care, everyone.
Yes. Welcome to the show, Congressman Mondaire Jones. I actually missed you by minutes in D.C. I was in the park, but I didn't know that you were there. I didn't know where they were, and I'm trying to reach them, and I'm at the stage videotaping the live streaming the speakers. And Tasha's like, oh, we're by the tree. First she said we're by the statue, and I couldn't find them. They said by the tree. And then when I finally found them, well, Dr. Bob found them, they said, oh, Mondaire just left. So I literally just missed you in D.C.
I wish I had known. It would have been great to see you. When folks told me that Westchester was going to be coming down to Washington, D.C. to march for voting rights, it was a no-brainer. I definitely wanted to see my folks, and AJ, that I spoke at that march, and it's wild to me that 50 years after the first march on Washington, we are still having to march to save our democracy, to build a multiracial democracy, to protect voting rights that are under assault in this country. You know that it is the thing I am probably most dedicated to this year, which is protecting the right to vote in this country.
And it was a shame. So you spoke after the march part. You spoke with the rest of the speakers. I never made it back there because I didn't know there were two events. So I had text Congressman Jamal Bowman, and I said, well, he said, I'm speaking around 12. I said, where are you speaking? He said, we're all speaking at the Lincoln Monument. And I'm like, okay, that's not where they're telling me. They're telling me some other street. So I went to catch him. I knew where he was going to be. And then I never got back to where y'all were. So I got a little bit in the beginning of that. And, you know, I was able to get Congressman Bowman and Reverend William Barber and Cori Bush and a bunch of other people over there. So I got a little bit of both. But yeah, I just missed you by literally like a minute or so, like literally. Yeah. So welcome back to the show. This is your first first appearance since you've been in office. I've had Congressman Bowman on right after the insurrection, and he was describing to the audience his first week, like how eventful. You know, you swore in one day, there's an insurrection the next day, and this, that, and other. Let's start there. How was speak about your first week in office?
You know, just days after getting sworn in on Sunday, January 3rd, we were met with terrorism, really white supremacist domestic terrorism in the form of that violent attack at the Capitol, that attempted overthrow of the federal government.
Now, were you in the Capitol? Congressman Bowman said he was in his office, but he wasn't physically in the Capitol at the time.
No, I was in the Capitol. I was on the House floor.
Okay.
One of the things that happened after I won my election last year is my colleagues elected me the youngest member of the House Democratic Leadership Team.
Okay.
So the night before January 6th, the Speaker Pelosi had asked me to join her on the House floor to listen to the debate over certification, which routinely, which historically had been a routine sort of event. I was frustrated, of course, to hear a number of my Republican colleagues make allegations about mass voter fraud that, of course, none of them can ever actually substantiate. But things took a dramatic turn for the worse, if you can imagine that, when someone from the Sergeant at Arms or Capitol Security took to the podium and announced that we would have to lock down the chamber from the inside, that the same people who had reached the Capitol were on their way to us. I wasn't paying attention to my phone. I was listening to the debate, so I didn't know what was happening outside other than that. Mm-hmm. Protesters had gathered. I got to the Capitol early. What I had to do. So
now, and then I want to move on. But after that, so once you found out they locked it down, I guess they moved y'all all somewhere. They moved y'all. You know, I've heard a lot of people on MSNBC, but I just wanted to hear locally, from our local representative.
So, we were advised to look under our seats for gas masks and to prepare to lie down on the ground in the event of gunfire. Eventually, the mob found its way to where we were on the House floor, and they were banging on the door from the outside trying to get in, which was alarming because there is typically, in fact, there's always security on the other side of that door, which meant that the security was no longer there. I did not think we would make it out of that chamber alive that day, but we were able to, after they had barricaded what's called the Speaker's hallway, sneak us out using one of the back doors and down through the tunnels to a more secure location.
So now here's we always ask the tough questions. So here's a tough question for you.
You ask the traumatic questions. You ask me how I'm doing today. What I've been working on.
I want to get to all of that, but I want to get some of the
drama. But go ahead.
I want to get some of the difficult stuff out the way first. So, a criticism of you from some, not many, but some in your district. You have, everybody knows you're openly gay man and you're a black man, so you have both of those things that you represent, and you're one of the first openly gay representatives that we have. So I mean that's very important. Some feel, and I mean you can't please everybody, but some feel you haven't paid enough to the black issues. You've paid more attention to the LGBTQ. I just messed up the letters, but issues. And I wanted to give you, while I had you, a chance to address that so they can hear, because at least one or two of them are listening right now. So I want you to.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I think I know who those people are. Frankly, look, the fact is that's not true. The fact is I am a leading proponent in the United States Congress for protecting and the right to vote in this country. I've authored a provision of the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. I've authored a key provision of the Freedom to Vote Act, a revised version of the For the People Act. So who do you think that Republicans are trying to disenfranchise in this country? It's black folks,
right,
and brown people.
Right.
Of course, I've also said that the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act must address the issue of qualified immunity.
We had a qualified immunity question for Mimi earlier, so that's good.
Very few members of Congress have taken such a strong stand. In January of this year, the East Ramapo Central School District, which is 97% black and brown and 80% or more eligible for free reduced lunch the way I was when I was growing up, announced that it would have to lay off as many as 32 teaching and other staff positions mid-year in the midst of a deadly pandemic. I got $150 million for that school district under the American Rescue Plan. So I think people are uncomfortable, unfortunately, with the fact that I am openly gay and I really am speaking about just a handful of people. And like I said, I think I know who those folks are because people have told me who they are. And people have, unfortunately, tried to make an issue of something because they are uncomfortable with the fact that I am openly gay. And that's not going to change, right? I mean, growing up, I didn't have role models in the way that I'm now a role model for a lot of queer youth of color in particular. So that's going to continue to be the kind of leadership that I show.
Right. So you just qualified. So now going backwards, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. I mean, I think we're going to pass infrastructure this week, which I'm excited.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up. We only really know, we see MSNBC, we see this, we see that, we hear this, we hear that. The talking heads, we really don't know what to believe. It appears that one of these bills that we need to get through may not get through because there's a group of people, which I think you and Jamal Bowman are part of, that want something else passed, and if they don't pass that, y'all won't vote for this. And the Republicans are all sticking together, and Biden's talking about bipartisan, and they're not trying to even hear that with him. So it seems from the outside looking in, a lot of us feel like, is anything really going to get done? So you saying that it may actually go through. I'd like to hear more about that.
Look, I'm optimistic because I look at the fact that the universal child care bill that I was able to get through the House Education and Labor Committee is something that when I wrote a letter to the Speaker and to Chuck Schumer asking them to keep that universal child care program, which would cap the annual cost of child care, it's no more than 7% of household income, in the final reconciliation bill, the same people who have concerns about the size of the larger package of that larger reconciliation bill signed on to that letter. It was signed by 106 members of the House. So, clearly even the people who are expressing reservations about that larger reconciliation bill, that larger Build Back Better Act, we use those words synonymously, agree with many of the provisions that we're trying to get in there. And so now it's just a question of negotiating the final terms of that bill. But the Speaker has said she expects to pass both this week, and I've never doubted the Speaker.
Pass in the House, but then they have to pass in the Senate, right?
As with every single bill that we're doing.
Right. So, and that's where it seems to be the holdup. Like,
well,
y'all passed the I think y'all passed a version of the George Floyd bill or something, right? And how long ago has that been? How long has that been sitting there? So
Yeah, that is a different scenario, because what we're going through right now is a process called reconciliation, and reconciliation is a path that does not require that you overcome the filibuster. It's something that really should apply to all bills, but reconciliation is a budgetary process that allows you to pass legislation on a simple majority vote.
okay,
And what we are seeing right now is maybe 10 or so conservative Democrats in the House try to hold up the process of passing both the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the larger infrastructure bill called the Build Back Better Act.
okay,
It is a bill that would expand Medicare to include dental, vision, and hearing. It is a bill that would, again, if what I passed out of the House Education and Labor Committee a few weeks ago stays in it, it would make childcare affordable for literally everyone in America. It would invest in climate action in a way that has never been done before. And I think, given what happened with people understand that we are experiencing a climate crisis. When we see climate disasters increase in frequency and intensity, then clearly that means that we got to do something to stop that. We can stop that, and we can also create hundreds of thousands of good-paying jobs in the process.
We have a question from Michelle Brown from Greenberg, and she is very instrumental in. She's a housing advocate. She asks, does the infrastructure bill include housing as part of that infrastructure? And she'd like to hear more about it if it does.
Yes, it does. So it invests in creating additional units of affordable housing, which of course we need right here in Westchester County. It invests in refurbishing existing units of affordable housing, and so much more. The final details of the reconciliation bill are still subject to negotiation. And for that reason, I don't know every single thing that will be in that final bill.
Yeah. Well, her response to that, and I was just getting ready to say, in Westchester, I find what they call affordable housing I can't afford. And she said affordable is not the same as low income. So she just went low income is low income part of that infrastructure too.
Yes, because the investment specifically is in public housing, among other forms of housing.
Okay.
That is what people like myself are fighting to keep in that final bill called the Build Back Better Act.
Okay.
And I know the chair of the Financial Services Committee, which has housing in its jurisdiction, Maxine Waters, cares very deeply about this as well.
We have a question from Nicole in Yonkers. Will increased funding for HBCUs pass in the bill?
That is the expectation. Chairwoman Alma Adams, she's the chair of a subcommittee on higher education within the House Education Labor Committee, and we were just at a Congressional Black Caucus meeting last week talking about the importance of making sure that we fully fund our HBCUs. And so we had a robust discussion about that. And I can tell you that the programs that we passed out of the Education and Labor Committee a few weeks ago include significant funds for HBCUs and other minority serving institutions.
Angela, who is the executive director of the New Rochelle Housing Authority, she said, as the executive director of New Rochelle Housing, Public Housing, I'm hoping that bill gets passed because the eviction moratorium is crippling operations for many authorities in the New York State.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I share that concern. We have to pass both of these bills. The bipartisan infrastructure bill is more of an investment in so-called physical infrastructure, roads, bridges, highways, that kind of thing. But we understand that we need to make sure that when we do recover and that when we do build back better, that we bring communities of color, that we bring women, that we bring the disability community and other communities with us. And so you see a lot of sort of human infrastructure in that larger Build Back Better Act,
Okay.
which progressives like myself and Jamal Bowman and others have said have to pass along with that bipartisan infrastructure bill.
Okay, and one last question dealing with that, because I don't want the whole thing to be about housing, but how does this infrastructure bill keep HUD and low-income housing?
So I think I've addressed this, but the fact is that the bill includes significant funding if it remains in there.
Okay.
And it's still subject to negotiation for both affordable, including public housing units.
Okay. And want to move on from that. And I thank you for answering the questions from the audience, because that's definitely a element of our show that, you know, people appreciate, that they can ask you questions and you answer their questions and they can interact with you. We try to, you know, be that middle thing that, you know, not a question, but a comment and a thank you. So you have no idea how many phone calls I got from friends and family members around the country who just happen to be going through channels and stopped by C-SPAN and heard the words Black Westchester in my district is not, you know, such and such and such. They was like, hey, and then you mentioned my name and they were like, hey, he just said AJ. So I got a lot of calls about that. So thank you for advocating for us on the House floor, actually.
Thank you for acknowledging that I'm fighting to help Black people in Westchester.
Yeah. No, you definitely. And Damon said you sent him a second video. I got the first video from you people. He said you sent him a second video. He is trying to find it so he can give it to me so I can share it as well. But that was part of a larger conversation about the stranglehold Facebook has on what is seen and not seen, and that you want to give you a chance to speak a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I'm an active member of the House Judiciary Committee, including the subcommittee on antitrust. And what we have in this country are really 4 big tech companies that are behaving in ways that are anti-competitive in the marketplace. They are pushing small businesses, doing, frankly, companies like Black Westchester, similar companies, either out of business or making it much more difficult for them to survive. And so it was important for me to use a real life example of a Black-owned and Black-focused publication like Black Westchester in that congressional hearing, where I was able to, bring issues of racial injustice into the conversation that I think is too often not part of the conversation when we talk about Facebook, Amazon, Google, and Apple, and some of their sort of worst abuses. The other thing that companies like Amazon do in particular is not treat their employees well. And it's easier for them to do that when so few people control a market. So few companies control the market. They could set the price at which people are paid. They could set the conditions of people's work when you have just a handful of companies really dominating the marketplace. And so that's, I think, what you'll see legislation from myself address moving forward.
Since you've had those 1 or 2 conversations on the House floor, I saw something where there's talking about, Facebook is talking about re-examining the algorithms, and whatever that's worth, and they admitted that. So I may post a post, take it personally, I may post a post and I might get some comments to it, but someone who posts another post and they get a lot of negative comments, the algorithm pushes that up as a more popular thing, and more people will see that than actually see the post that I posted that, got a couple of good comments. And they're trying to look into, supposedly, it's driven by the negative energy, but, because that made it popular, it rose to the top, and positive stuff doesn't. So I've heard that mentioned since the work you've been doing. I don't know if anything is going to come from that, but I did hear them talk about that, though.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's certainly something that I'll look into. But just generally speaking, I'm just very wary at this point in the debate over Facebook and other of these companies that the companies are willing to self-regulate in a way that is going to be required in order to stop the anti-competitive behavior that we've been seeing in the marketplace.
Well, as I've often said about the police cannot police the police. So, I mean, you know, you're asked to ask a multi-billion-dollar industry to police itself. I do agree with some of the stuff you said. There need to be more like there's no regulations or what they can and can't do. They literally can do and make it up as they go along. I mean, there's nothing stopping them at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
What is some of the other stuff you've worked on that you want everybody to know about, you know, that you can talk about, that you're proud of and you want to announce?
Yeah. Look, I mean, the American Rescue Plan has been described even by Bernie Sanders as the most transformative economic legislation for working people in a generation. In my congressional district, in New York's 17th congressional district, covering all of Rockland and central and northern Westchester County, we've got over $70 million for community health centers, which serve on either uninsured or underinsured individuals, disproportionately communities of color. We've got over $240 million for K-12 public schools in New York's 17th congressional district through the American Rescue Plan, including, as I mentioned, $150 million for the East Rhinebeck Central School District. We are cutting child poverty in half, literally in half, through the expanded, fully refundable, and as of July 15th, cash advanced child tax credit, which people like myself are fighting to make permanent. Westchester County government alone has gotten $187 million. Across the river, Rockland County got the Rockland County government alone, to say nothing of what the municipalities and villages are getting, got $63 million. You know, I'm just really proud of the amount of money that I've been able to bring back to Westchester and to Rockland County in such a short period of time. And of course, now we got to continue that. We got to build back better, which is why I'm here in Washington, D.C., to focus on passing infrastructure. This is going to transform the lives of so many people, millions of people in this country. We're talking about Medicare expansion. I watched my grandmother work well past the age of retirement just to pay for the high cost of prescription drugs and medical procedures not fully covered by Medicare. That is what unified democratic control of the federal government can accomplish. I'm also really proud to be the leading voice on Supreme Court reforms, including court expansion, because right now we have a 6-3 far-right conservative majority on the Supreme Court that is hostile to democracy itself, including the right of Black and brown people in this country and lower income people to vote. This is a court that in decision after decision has dismantled the Voting Rights Act, which was the crown jewel of the civil rights movement. And despite, you know, even if we were to, over in the United States Senate, pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act, those bills would still be faced with hostility, I believe, by that 6-3 conservative majority in the court. And so we have to expand the court in order to save our democracy. Now we know the right of a woman to just exercise, her own healthcare decision-making process is now under assault with the overturning effectively of Roe v. Wade in Texas a few weeks ago.
I going to Washington. And after I came back, I had a show with a lot of the people on the bus, the organizers that brought the bus down. And I was trying to explain, and I'm trying to sell this home here that no matter what it is you're fighting for, criminal justice reform, healthcare equality, none of these things can get through if we lose the right to vote. Like that one thing can nullify everything because we can't get people like you who will fight for us in office. You know what I mean? And if we lose that right, that is the one single most important thing that I feel that all my listeners and everybody who they know that we should be talking about right now. across this nation. And you see there's like 8 or 18, I forgot what the number is, states that are already passing certain laws for voter suppression and to make it harder for Black and brown people to vote. And, in a county like Westchester County, we have to realize that we're not, just because that's happening over there, that it can happen here. And so I applaud all the fighting that y'all are doing for voting rights right now.
Thank you. And, the president has a role to play in this. I was the first member of Congress this year to publicly call on the president to take a position to either get rid of entirely or make an exception to the filibuster for purpose of passing voting rights legislation, and yes, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act and a number of other things. But nothing is as important as voting rights right now, because voting rights, to your point, are preservative of all other rights. If the people who don't want to certify presidential elections and who've been trying to disenfranchise Black and brown people in this country are allowed to retake control of government through voter disenfranchisement, among other things, they will be able to undo a lot of the work that Democrats are doing this year. That's why it is so important to have a baseline of democracy in this country before we try to do anything else.
Absolutely. And I was telling people, because we have a lot of non-Black people who watch the show and support us. They looked at the voter right thing as just a Black issue, and I was like, they're trying to, when they say "Make America Great," they're trying to go back to we have any rights. When this country was run by white men, women didn't have rights. Nobody of color had rights, and they want to go back to that. And case in point, what Texas just did with Roe v. Wade. You know what I mean? That's just the beginning. They want to strip all rights, and we are at war. I mean, like literally, like this is. It's when they fought for this stuff in the 60s, in the 50s and the 60s was one thing. But I think generations afterwards, they automatically had it. They didn't know not having it. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know if they see the urgency, because it's worse than not having is to have and then get it taken away. That's to me, that's even worse. So we have to fight harder than they did in the 60s. And I'm not speaking just to the elected officials. I'm speaking to the people out there in the public, because we have to stand up and fight.
I do think there's this complacency and a failure to understand what the stakes are right now. Because of this practice of partisan gerrymandering, whereby elected officials choose their constituents rather than constituents choosing their elected officials.
Right.
You can be guaranteed victory even as a QAnon conspiracy theorist so long as you prevail in your Republican primary. And that is a distortion of our democracy when districts are drawn in such a way as to ensure that Republicans or Democrats, for that matter, get elected to office. But I will note that there's only one major political party that is in favor of democracy these days, and that is the Democratic Party. I don't even talk about, when I speak to my Republican friends and constituents, I talk about one party supporting democracy and another party trying to unravel democracy. That is just a fact, and we see that every single day. So there can be no doubt about that. And to your point also, about just the cross section of people who are going to be impacted by this. You're right. It's not just Black folks. I mean, the Supreme Court, just like I said, effectively overturned Roe v. Wade, because if it doesn't apply in some parts of this country, then Roe v. Wade doesn't exist anymore. But also, I serve on the House Education and Labor Committee with people like Madison Cawthorn. And my Republican colleagues don't believe in equal pay for women, which is a bill that Democrats passed out of committee as well, among other things. To say nothing of LGBTQ plus rights and the rights of religious minorities. And, there's a lot at stake. And I'm concerned that people don't understand. And frankly, I'm concerned that the White House doesn't quite understand what is at stake, because the president should have come out by now and supported getting rid of the filibuster or reforming it. I will say I'm pleased to see in recent days public reporting that he's willing to make phone calls to Manchin and Sinema to get them to come around on this, to make an exception to the filibuster for voting rights. And I think that is an indirect response to my advocacy and to the advocacy of organizations and grassroots activists.
Is there anything I didn't ask you that you want people to know that you definitely want to address? I wanted to make sure. And for anybody that's in your district that doesn't know how to get in touch with you in your office, can you share a website, contact information?
Please do. Please go to jones.house.gov, which has a phone number as well as an email address, I believe. Certainly a phone number where you can contact the office. And we've got a full staff up in Westchester, in addition to a full staff down in DC, who is able to help you with all your problems. I'm really proud of the staff that we have. I've got an incredible district director, Joan Ranjumwa Thomas. She's a village trustee in Port Chester. She's just incredible, fearless Black woman who's just been transformative in the leadership that she's provided over the years. And I'm so grateful that she agreed to be my district director.
You said jones@house.gov?
That's right.
Okay, I'm putting that up on the screen for everybody to see. Yeah, so that's how you reach his office. I want to thank you for taking the time to come on here. Of course, there's ain't so much I can say and ask in a half an hour, but I'm hoping that you will be on more often and to speak to your constituents and utilize Black Westchester to get the word out, because there's still a trickling down of information that we're not getting. And I think I've had this conversation with Congressman Bowman. I think we need to hear more from the two of you. And, a lot of people don't watch MSNBC and CNN. You know what I mean? Maybe they watch News 12 or they check out Black Westchester or whatever. But, so please feel free to utilize us however you can to get the word out, on different things that's going on. So
I appreciate that, and we'll definitely work to do that. I think it's an incredible source. Obviously, you guys were among the first people to even pay attention to my candidacy when I was in Congress, and I'll never forget that.
Well, we appreciate that. I mean, and that's what we do. It wasn't even, picking sides. We want to make sure that the voters are more informed and get a chance to hear from as many of the candidates that are willing to come on, because there's some that just ain't willing to come on here. But the ones that are willing to come on, we ask the tough questions and we, give them an opportunity. We don't tell them who to vote for, but hopefully we can make more informed decisions at the ballot box and not just vote row A all the way, or, vote for someone because someone else is voting for them, or vote for someone because they're Black or a woman, but actually pick the best candidates for the best positions after getting to know where they stand. So hopefully in these 7 years, we played a part in that, and we will continue to play a part in that. And I want to thank you again for all that you're doing, and your office is often reaching out to me. They fill my inbox, so I've been able to see a lot of what's going on. So I definitely keep the information coming.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that, and thank you for the important work that you've been doing.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, take care.
All right, bye. So that was Congressman Mondaire Jones. As with the district attorney, it is hard to get everything in a half an hour, but I wanted to be respectful of both of their times. They both said that that's the time that they had because they had other things to do. And, Mimi Rocha, we literally squeezed her in last night, and she responded to my call. Hopefully some of your questions, I did get to many of the questions that you asked. Nicole, I'm going to talk to you offline about your question. I'm working on something about that I want to share with you. So I did not ask your question, but we will talk offline because I might need your help. So any other questions anybody got? Anybody, again, have any events that they want to promote that are coming up? Please let me know. Put the information in the comment section so I can share anything going on in any of your cities and municipalities that you want. Oh, so Greenburgh, I didn't forget about y'all. So I haven't said much yet, and I have written a few stories. I want to applaud those in Greenburgh who fought to get a sign up, and a Black Lives Matter sign up. I mean, the sign was the boldest sign in this county. it didn't just say Black Lives Matter. It said all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. And I thought that was a huge, bold statement. So much so, they tore down the sign the next day. Not just the Black Lives Matter sign. They tore down the whole entire Welcome to Greenburgh sign. And there have been people, Cliff Abrams and others, Michelle Brown and others, who have been fighting to get the sign back up and to get signage and banners and stuff up. I want to tell everybody in Greenburgh to keep fighting until you do get it up. And I want to reach out to everybody else who's hearing me from every municipality. When the sign goes back up, we all need to come together and show this county that matters to us, and that those actions like that won't be tolerated. And we just need to gather for a press conference or something. You know, the news media, they look at numbers, and if we get several of our organizations and we all come out there and speak about how important that is, I think, you know, I'm going to be reaching out to a lot of y'all who have organizations so that we can, whenever they're supposed to be working on getting the sign back up, we need to go out there and celebrate that sign and let them know that we want more stuff like this and that we're willing to fight for it. Because any other group of people, if it was for the Jewish community or the Italian community or the LGBTQ community, I always mix those letters up, they would have been fighting for and they would have been fighting in huge numbers about that. But I have to say I was disappointed to see some of our organizations, once this happened, and I even wrote the story, do Black Lives Actually Matter in Greenburgh? I didn't hear much from Black leadership, Black clergy. I didn't hear much. We have to fight for this stuff. Nobody's going to give us anything. Nobody's going to do what we want them to do just because it's the right thing to do. And when we have something like that, we need to fight to preserve it and keep it up. And just because you don't live in Greenburgh, we need to come from all over Westchester in huge numbers and stand behind those that are fighting for it. And when it goes up, let them know that the destruction of that will not be tolerated. We need to fill Greenburgh up. So I hope that I'm going to be reaching out to many of y'all when the sign does go back up. Greenburgh, I'm still staying on top of the housing, what I call the housing crisis for the seniors and stuff out there. New Rochelle, I haven't forgotten about you. I did a story about one or two buildings in New Rochelle that is having problems, and other people from other buildings have reached out to me and told me, no, we're having those kind of problems here too. So I'm going to try to do that. Anybody who has anything that you want me to cover, you can always reach me at blackwestchester@gmail.com. A lot of you are my eyes and ears. As of I'm only one person, there is no way for me to be up on everything that's going on in the community and throughout the county. But many of you have been very instrumental in providing me the information, send me the links where I can find out more about it, let me know what's going on. Angela said they're having a Unity Day coming soon, New Rochelle, and she will keep us posted. Yes, Angela, once you have the information, is that the thing that they do in Lincoln Park every year? I'm not sure. If so, let me know. But yes, once you have the information, please let me know so we can get that out. Shout out to Cliff again. He, myself, and a few other brothers, we started an organization you will start hearing more about called the 100 Black Fathers for Change. And it's a call of unity for the brothers to step up, for Black men to stand up. A lot of these situations, we have a lot of women fighting, and there's not enough brothers. There are brothers who fight, but there's not enough brothers out there fighting. And we're going to be doing some work with that. And Cliff is one of the members. We're still organizing and getting it off the ground. But you will hear a lot more for the 100 Black Fathers for Change. Anybody else have anything they want to speak about? They want me to speak about? They have an event coming up. They have something they want covered or something, or anything that you want me to speak on. I don't know. Sandy had mentioned ending qualified immunity. I don't know if I discussed it enough with both our guests, and if there was anything else you wanted to speak about, please let me know in the comments section. Got about 15 more minutes. Thank all of y'all for tuning in. Y'all could be doing anything else right now, but y'all decided to ride with us. We greatly appreciate it. I'm holding this down by myself today. I want to again shout out Dr. Bob Robert Baskerville, who held down the show last week in my absence, and he did his first solo show. He ran the show, hosted it. He did everything. I checked in on the show a few times, and everybody who I talked to said he did an excellent job, and I want to applaud him for stepping up. Again, I want to thank everybody for the showering of love with the loss of my dad. I greatly appreciate all of y'all. Messages, condolences, prayers. Please keep the prayers coming, and all of that. I just can't tell you enough how much I appreciate all of that. Please encourage your listeners to support the caucus fundraiser on Sunday at Castle. What caucus? Give me the whole name of it, Nicole, so I can say what it is, who it is, and where it is. Give me type the information or text me the flyer or something so I can read it, the whole thing, on the show. We can get that out there. Yes. Anything else coming up? Everybody else. Anything else coming up? Anything else? You have to excuse my windows are open, and my block seems to be the speedway for every dirt bike and outside four-wheeler, so you're going to hear noise like that in the background. So the Westchester Black Women's Political Caucus is having a fundraiser on Sunday, October 17th at Castle Royale from 4 to 8. Yeah, I'm going to promote that even though that's during my show, but I'm still going to show you love and promote that. I'm trying to get everybody not to listen to the show and come to your event. No, I'm just playing. But yes, I think we need to support our organizations that are putting in work. Westchester Black Women's Political Caucus is one of those that's putting in work, and we need to support each other, especially our Black organizations. Cheryl said, I just text you a flyer. Let me pull that up real quick. Okay. So on Wednesday, October 6th, there's the grand reopening of MVAC Days. Wait. The Mount Vernon Adult Center. Grand reopening Wednesday, October 6th, 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Calling for ages 55 plus. Call to RSVP before 10/5/21. Transportation can be provided. The number is 914-363-3888. This is be part of an active community. We don't sit around. We get around. They have COVID testing regularly. Mask, face coverings required by everyone. Nutritious breakfast and lunch. COVID-19 vaccinations given. Registered. Become a MVAC Mount Vernon Adult Center member. There's music and entertainment, exercise, bingo tournaments, and prizes. This is at 22 East 1st Street, the first floor, into the building on the corner of South 3rd Avenue. Anybody wants to know any more about that, please hit me. I'll make sure I share this flyer on our social media pages. That was from Cheryl Blue Brownlee Fox. Shout out to her. She holds down. Definitely, she holds Black Westchester down. So Definitely want to shout her out. John Morrison said, "Peace, brother. Just checked in. Brother John, another one of the 100 Black Fathers for Change. Checking in, Earl. Clifton Earl Abrams said, great job holding down the show by yourself, my beloved brother, AJ. And like I said, Cliff is definitely one of the 100 Black Fathers. There's a few of us. We're building, and you will start seeing and hearing way more from us in the near future. Nicole Benjamin said, thank you for the love, AJ. Any other events? In my last 10 minutes, we got 10 minutes left. You have an event that you need to promote. You have a topic you want to hear me speak on. You want to hear my opinion on anything. Let me know in the comments section. As always, I ask that you share this video with your people. Share it on your page. Go to the Black Westchester YouTube page. Like it. Subscribe. For y'all that don't do Facebook and YouTube, we have LinkedIn. We're on the Black Westchester LinkedIn page. Add us and check us out there. You are very welcome, Cheryl. I think I got all of the announcements out of the way. If there's anything I missed, please let me know. I don't know if I shouted Angela. I think I shouted Angela out earlier. Anybody I didn't mention, I can only see from 1 or 2 pages, and we shared it on a lot of pages, so I don't see everyone. Yes. I think I got to everybody earlier. Again, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. 7 years, man, and it's like we couldn't have gotten this far without all of you. You know, some people are here this week. They might not be here next week, but continue. If you like what we're doing, continue to share the information with everybody. Someone asked me earlier, do we take donations? We do, because we keep the paper and everything free. We keep the website free. We don't charge guests to be interviewed like a lot of people. If you would like to make a donation, email me blackwestchester@gmail.com. I'll give you the information. You can send it electronically through PayPal or a check or however, or just drop it off. However, we greatly appreciate you. Would be interested in the topic of Black immigration in light of recent treatment of Haitians. Again, not as an excuse. Like I just said, I just buried my dad, and since September 1st, he was in hospice. So I was kind of waiting for the other shoe to fall, and I kind of tuned out a little bit on some of what was going on. I have seen some. When we did our show on WVOX, a white listener asked how we feel about immigrants having the right to vote. And Dr. Bob gave his answer, and something that didn't hit me to say on the radio, but hit me after we went off the air. You know, if you have immigrants that you allow to work and you take taxes out of their check, this country was built. One of the key phrases I always heard in school that the forefathers actually founded this country on was no taxation without representation. They fought a war and they fought for freedom on that. If we're going to stand for that in this country, supposedly based on that, then I think anybody who is working and paying taxes should be allowed to vote, because this country was founded on no taxation without representation. Now, that didn't just go for the white people back in the 1700s. If you're going to put that in the thing, that should apply to everybody, since everybody in this country, except for if you are Native American, everybody from this country is an immigrant. Even if you physically was born here, like I was born here, but your parents or your grandparents or your great-grandparents immigrated from somewhere. Your family is not from here. unless you're Native American. So, for this country to be the country that we welcomed all the people, we can't just welcome all the people from Europe. And we say we're not going to welcome people from other places because they're a little darker. I don't know if that answers the question, Nicole. But it's in specific, the treatment of the Haitians. I have to I'm playing catch up on a lot of that stuff. So I'm going to look into that, and I hope to be able to give you a better answer on specifically that. Craig McFarland said, Martin Luther King Jr. stated, poverty, militarism, and racism are the three ugly triplets of society. RBG and John Lewis can't be resting in peace. I've heard a lot of great comments, observation from both, I guess that's presenters, and what we are dealing with, symptoms of generational trauma. Let me put this up so y'all can see. Y'all can also read it because I'm reading this kind of slow. Generational trauma. Onions, bananas have great healing properties, but we can't make one cry, but can make one cry or constipated. I can relate to the young man who unfortunately has to carry a gun. You don't come to a gunfight with a knife. Well, let me just say, this is not the answer to your question, but what came to my mind, and I wanted to say this earlier, what I would like to see a lot of our elected officials, we're talking about vaccinations. I'm not going to have a discussion on whether you're for or against that. But one of the things they're not talking about that you and every person can do listening to me now and who will hear this later is eat healthier. A lot of our health issues in this country and in our community are self-inflicted, including myself, who had to go to the hospital twice and was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. And I had to change a lot of my eating, eating a lot more fruits and vegetables and eating healthier and staying away from a lot of processed food and a lot of fried food. And all those are things that I love. Let's just keep it real. Helps you build up your immune system a lot better. And you'll be able to fight off a lot of other things and live longer. We have overweight, homeless people in this country. We have to start talking about food deserts and not having healthy food in our communities. We have to start having those conversations. And I meant to bring, and that was one of the questions I wanted to bring to Monteer Jones when I had him. And then I was reading questions and I forgot to get back to that. We need to be talking about that, and we need to hear elected officials talking about that. Mandating vaccines and stuff and all that other, there's a lot that we can do on our own with eating healthier. And there's a lot that our elected officials can do with providing more healthier options in our communities. And we as Black and brown people need to be having those conversations amongst ourselves and with our elected officials. And I would like to hear a lot more of our elected officials speak on those things. With the next couple of elections coming up, when I have the candidates, I'm going to be bringing that up a lot more to them. Angela said, amen. AJ, we have to be healthier. No more fried chicken joints and liquor stores in the Black community. They can start right there. So it's funny because I remember a rapper, he was describing his neighborhood, and he said he had a church on one side and a number spot on the other side. And then my younger brother used to live in 33 Lincoln and Carrington Arms in Rochelle. And he said that describes exactly where, because if he comes out to the left, you got St. Catherine's, and on the corner, I don't know if it still is, but on the corner, you had a number spot. So it's like you coming out and then, you got all the stuff that's going on the street. Like, we need to we need to stop. We need to hold our elected officials accountable. And Mount Vernon, we got more dollar stores than anything else. More dollar stores. We need more than dollar stores. We need more than liquor stores. We need more healthier options. Michelle Obama still talks about healthy eating and Black wellness on her podcast. We need to be talking more about that. And I say that to segue. Damon is not here, but Damon has turned fully plant-based, and he has a new book. It's out on Amazon now, and he will be on in the next couple of weeks discussing that. And he will be doing more writing monthly on the website and in the paper on health and wellness. If you just type in health and wellness, Black Westchester, there's a section, and you can read what he's already written. And he's really really pushing that. And we need to be having that in our conversations, especially we have organizations like this, Black Westchester. We need our Black elected officials. We need our elected officials that cover our communities to be talking more about that. And it's great that Michelle Obama was talking about that from the White House. It continues. We need our people talking from City Hall about this. We need our people talking about in the county building. We need them talking about this. We need more of our elected officials locally talking about this, and stop letting in so much trash in our neighborhoods and work. You know, we have nothing but Chinese food stores. We have a bunch of, like you said, liquor stores. We got a bunch of bodega type delis that sell stuff that very rarely is healthy for you. If you're not driving, like I live on South 7th Avenue, there is nothing healthy walking distance from my house, you know, but there's a pizza place, there's Chinese food place, there's a million bodegas, there's, I have a place, like one or two places I get some greasy food, but there's nothing healthy. There's no healthy options within a walking distance. And if you do Grubhub and Uber Eats, them places only stay open but so late. So if you're busy all day and you have to order something later, your options are fast food. We have enough fast foods. We have 2 McDonald's, we have a Burger King, we have a Church's, we have Domino's, we have a plethora of spots like that selling poison to us, and we need to talk about that. And we also need to. Bill Maher talks about that a lot on Real Time on his talk show on HBO. There's a certain responsibility we have to take about what we accept and what we put in our bodies, and we need to be talking about exercising more and eating better. Is something I'm working on. It's a transition. It's a journey. I'm definitely not 100% there because, as you see, I had lost a lot of weight, and I just found out over the last month or so, I think I found all of it that I had lost. So I'm working on, getting back on track. You're seeing, some of my Facebook posts. While I was in Georgia, I definitely utilized the fitness center, the bike and the treadmill and stuff. Can you have a show on taking our community back? Cliff, call me offline, and anybody else who thinks that's a good topic and would like to add to that, we will tell me, Cliff. We'll talk offline. Think of a few people that you think would be good to have on that. We want to have a wide range of people from a couple of different areas on, and they can speak to that from different perspectives. But yes, that would definitely be a show. We do need to take our community back. The Black community is the only community that they all can come into and open up whatever kind of business they want, and then take their money back to their community. You try to open a business try to open a restaurant in Little China or Little Italy or any of those places, or a Jewish neighborhood, and if you're even able to open it, I guarantee you won't be in business long. You might get burnt down or whatever. They will push you out if you're not what they want in your community. But in our communities, we allow everybody to come in, do what they want to do, sell what they want to sell, and then take the money out of the community without investing in our communities, and that's on us. We have to fight for better. Obama, we talked about Michelle. Barack Obama said we have to be the change we want to see. We have to stop looking for a savior in elected office to save us. Nobody is going to do more for you than you are going to do. How bad do you want to see change? How bad do you want it? How much are you willing to fight for it? That's what it's going to take. Definitely, Angela said, definitely in New Rochelle, Black wealth was destroyed in the Black community when Memorial Highway was put in. Homes and businesses was destroyed. Great topic. I'm actually running over time, but it's funny, Angela. One of my older cousins was involved. Was young enough to be involved in the desegregation case with the Lincoln School District. And I believe they were telling me that Lincoln School District used to be where Lincoln Park now is, and they were bused to other schools, and they took down that school district, and it was one of the few desegregation cases that made it all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court voted on it. They're sending me information. So, and there's supposed to be a lady who is trying to do a documentary on that, Angela. So, definitely something that I'm getting ready to start researching a little bit and find out more about it. A new link project is coming to the Lincoln Corridor area, and I, among other members of the Black community, are demanding that the project restore Black business. I agree. And so that was my husband's family. Craig McCarlin said government somehow got deleted. Somehow deleted from my institution, and somehow got deleted from institution in my observation. Yeah, Angela. So I'm going to talk to you more about that, and if you have any information, please share it, because when my cousin was telling me, I think he was in 4th grade when it happened. My older cousin, and he was the first to go to the other school. And they got rid of the Lincoln School District, which I was told was where Lincoln Park is now. And, there's really not a school that serves that community fully, and people are getting sent all over the place everywhere else. So anyway, I'm going to look into that. They said they're doing a documentary. I found that kind of interesting. Conversation I had earlier this week in Atlanta. So with that said, it's 7 minutes over. I thank everybody for tuning in. I thank everybody for rocking out. I thank for y'all, especially with me holding it down by myself today. And real talk, struggling just a little with everything I'm dealing with. Your input and participation was greatly appreciated. As I say at the end of every show, housekeeping, the next paper is coming out October 15th. The deadline for advertising is October 8th. So if you want to advertise in the October issue, please hit us ASAP. Don't wait till the last minute. Again, for those who want to donate, and appreciate all those who have already. For those who are interested, hit me. Got my number, just text me or hit me a messenger, but or email us at blackwestchester@gmail.com. That's a lot of your contributions, financial and sending in articles and all that kind of stuff is what keeps us going and helps us continue to come out and make this free for the community. So we don't have to charge for the paper. We don't have to we don't have to put a paywall on the website. Once you read 4 or 5 articles, you got to subscribe and then, pay to read more, or something like that, like some other publications do. And that seems to be a model that a lot of them are doing, to make money. And we also have mail subscriptions. You can have the paper mailed to you, 12 issues for $35. If you're interested in having doing having a subscription, you can do that. Also, email us at blackwestchester@gmail.com. Cheryl, thank you. You done good, AJ. We appreciate you. And I appreciate all of you. And I'm going to stop now. I'm not going to run my mouth no more. I'm going to go. Dinner is ready. I'm going to eat go eat, and then I'm going to relax for the next couple of days before I get full-fledged into it. I just got back yesterday from Georgia. Again, thank you for the overwhelming love, everybody. We greatly appreciate you. You could be doing anything else, but you decided to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate it. This has been Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show. We are on every Sunday, 6 to 8, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Until next week, peace. You are now tuned into the People Before Politics radio show, brought to you by the good folks at
Black Westchester. Black Westchester. Black Westchester. Black Westchester. Check the newspaper. Black Westchester. Black Westchester. Black Westchester. Check the newspaper.
Real talk for the community since 2014.